Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Kislev led by Harrison, facing off against the Vampire Counts, who shall be helmed by Pope Patty here on the Sword of the Lake. Certainly a very cool map, and let's go ahead and break down the armies. So for Kislev, front line is going to be Warriors, which makes sense. They're a pretty good utility piece in this matchup, considering they can hold their own against zombies and skeletons, and they do have anti-large for the Cryptors and various other big scary monsters. Now, they're not going to be cutting through the chaff very effectively. That is one thing about them, so it's going to take 5,000 years for them to beat a zombie because of their low melee attack, but they can still get there. And more importantly, they hold for your bigger threats. So we do have Rasputin here. It is going to be Kostaltyn. So Kostaltyn, what does he bring to the table? He does fire damage and magic damage, both of which are incredibly relevant in this matchup. He does have the Lullaby for the heals, the Battle Hymn for the melee attack, and then the Vigor replenishment. So he's bringing all the bells and whistles. Enduring Devotion, which of course is going to be giving melee defense and leadership. He's got the Blaze of Devotion, which is actually very good. That imbues AoE fire damage, so I do like this from Harrison. I think it's very clever. Incarnate Elemental of Beasts is in theory decent. It's a magic damage Mortisengine, so it can drain down a lot of the vampiric units, but in my experience, it does kind of get bullied by Cryptors, big vampire monsters, things like that. So Incarnate Elemental is there, Zargard to actually clear through the infantry, and the Wolfhearts, just an insanely good unit. These guys have the snare ability, and even without the snare, they can put big hurt down on the lightly armored big targets like Cryptors. So looking at the build here of Pope Patty, he's going to be rocking a Strigoi Vampire Lord, who's going to be rocking Spirit Leech, Invo, and it does of course have the Ghoul Summon. The rest of the army is going to be pretty unga. It's going to be Zombies, Skeletons, Corpse Guards, Cryptors, and White Kings, pretty much the most meta way to play the Vampire Counts. And yeah, it's incredibly strong. Scabscraith is going to be a huge nightmare for these Kislevite warriors, and the Cryptors can counter the Cav and other big threats. And that is going to be that. So Pack Trap activated right here, kind of a cute one. He gets a little bit of damage on him. I don't know if that was worth the Pack Trap charge, but it does send a message, be like, hey man, I'm here, and I'm ready to party. So call-ins for both players. In the back, we do see the Ice Witch coming in, so the Ice Witch is rolling dirty, and she's going to be bringing what appears to be, is that Frostblades? Frostblades for magic damage against kind of the rising meta of ghostly units is good, and oh my god, Heart of Winter. Wow, we haven't seen Heart of Winter in ages. I feel like this spell probably could use a buff. It's a little bit lackluster. Let me zoom in here, make sure I have my game sound on. Okay, I do. I always have this bad habit. There's like a hotkey when you hit like Alt and something, it like turns off your game sounds. It's super troll. All right, guys, Objective 1 going to be going to Kislev. Objective 2 is currently owned by the Vampires, and Objective 3 with the Schmeagol Vanguard, again, a very, very common thing as well. While the Strigoi Vampire Lord flies around, not seeing the pencil formation from the zombies, which against the Kislevite Warriors isn't a big deal, but if they had a better quality front line, the pencil formation is very, very good. So Spirit Leech activated on Rasputin. The thing about trying to snipe him is he does have that ability to heal himself, and I think he has an ability that, when he gets really low, he gets a massive heal, Ursun's Ward. So actually trying to snipe him can certainly backfire on you, but we'll see how it works out here for Count Chocula. And Rasputin, in theory, also can probably beat the White Kings in combat. He's got pretty good stats, but they themselves have a very good stat line. It's funny, I think they have like the same amount of HP, which is pretty ridiculous. Another breath attack coming in from the Strigoi Vampire Lord, really able to melt those elite infantry down. And now the Wolfheart's going to be moving in, trying to shoot into the Cryptors, which is 100% what you want to be shooting. And they do eat a big salvo, losing a little bit of HP in the process. And look at that, we do actually see a Ghoul Summon activated. So the Schmeagles have been summoned, and a Scabscraith coming in from the White Kings, going to be taking a fair amount of HP off those guys, but they were kind of at the wrong angle, so the Scabscraith didn't do as much damage as it could have. Another Spirit Leech activated right here on Kostaltyn. Meanwhile, the Kislevites still being very cautious about moving in. Second Zargard is on the way, and here comes the big fight. So yeah, getting the Incarnate Elemental to spank the White Kings, not a terrible idea, but the Ghoul King is an anti-large fighter who will dominate an Incarnate Elemental in a fight. So a couple dodgy elements here, but if you keep the Elemental near Kostaltyn, give it the prayers and the healing and the fire damage, that could make it do some really, really good work here, as this bad boy is weak to fire and could maybe change the paradigm of the fight. So in the back, Dervishes and Zargard definitely need to get in the fight. And we do see the big man going in. So the Strigoi Vampire Lord thinking about attacking, but not fully committing to the fight. No, he does. He ends up landing right there. So Colin in the back is going to be the Devils of Svartalf, and a really good choice. They will absolutely dominate the Zargard getting the charge, but you just got to watch out for the Pack Trap. The Wolfhearts can Pack Trap it, snare it in place, charge it with Cav. And is this going to be a dreaded Heart of Winter? God, I hope so. It's an ability you never get to see. So, okay, overcasted Heart of Winter. Let's see how much damage this actually does. In the meantime, though, the Frost Maiden is getting bullied pretty bad by the anti-large Strigoi. And Heart of Winter does have multiple tiers of activation. So I think it's still at tier 1 right now. And 75 to 150 damage. It's chewing through some of these units, but look at this. The Frost Maiden just going to get taken out here, which is so rough. It is leading to the crumbling of some of the zombies. Now it's at its next tier, which is 150 to 300. And not terrible. It does okay damage against the monster stuff. I feel like you could probably bump that damage up, considering the overcasted one costs like almost 30 ones of magic or something. But that was alright. Yeah, it takes the skeleton down a little bit, but is it worth the Winds of Magic? I don't know. I feel like you could probably buff that damage by like 50% and it would be fine. Zargard getting in, and we do see the Devils of Swarthofen trying to intercept the Kostaltyn Dervishes while a Ghoul Summit is pressuring in. And ooh, the Watchman of the Night being called in. Very, very cool piece. Now, a bit of a mistake here by Pope Paddy, letting his Strigoi Ghoul King get surrounded by a bunch of Giga Chad Kislevites with halberds, who are also enjoying the Song of Winter Sunlight here, so they're going to get that vigor replenishment. They do manage to drag quite a bit of HP off the Strigoi Vampire Lord, while the Howl of the Great Beast also leads to the crumbling of some of these units here. So far, pretty okay for Kislev. They have lost, I think the Ice Witch got bullied and may have run off the battlefield, but going to be pretty cheap to resummon, I would imagine. And the Strigoi Vampire Lord, where is he going to be going? It looks like maybe thinking about charging into the Dazen's Hearthblades there. Unfortunate for these infantry that have to fight in the water, so fighting in water does penalize infantry units. Monstrous infantry, however, don't care because they're tall enough to kind of stand above the water, and they're going to be elboinking down these infantry right here. So a rough time for the Dazen's Hearthblades. Granted, they are so elite, and of course doing fire damage here against Scriptors will let them trade up. Watchmen of the Night, super cool to see them in the mix. The Watchmen will chop through zombies, and their purpose is quite literally to annihilate chaff units. Good breath attack coming in there from Pope Paddy. Beautiful. But the Watchmen, as I was saying, huge damage output, and against light armor mainly, so zombies will get cut up pretty fast. Strigoi Pimp King in the back, or the Strigoi Vampire Lord. It's not the king, landing on top of the Wolf Hearts, trying to tie them down a little bit. Kislev calling in Winged Lancers, which are going to have a really bad time. And it's one of the trickier parts about the matchup is that Vargheists dominate your Cavs so freaking hard. Even if you bring in Bear Riders, they just get the jump on you every time. And sure, a Bear Rider will win 1-1, but if you attack a Bear Rider with like a Fellbat or a Zombie Summon, then attack them with the Devils, they're going to trade very, very effectively here. But now Kislev does have healing too. I mean, yes, vampires are up in value, but Kislev has constant healing from Kostaltyn's auras. The Mortis Engine effect is there, and also the damage value tracker does not track crumbling damage, so that is something you need to consider. Now, Winged Lancers versus Devils, it's a hard fight, but with Archer's support, it could be changed. And up on the high ground, we do see some of the coolest units on Kislev, the Ice Guard, with their rapid draw animation, which is pretty cool looking. I know some people don't like it, but I think it looks kind of neat. Shooting into the Devils, who are afflicted by the Pack Trap, so they're going to be eating a lot of firepower. Cryptors diving into the backfield. Cryptors will be countered by Winged Lancers, though, if they do get charged in open field. Really, really bad for them. But the Devils going to be dancing back in and intercepting the Winged Lancers, making sure that doesn't happen. Now, the elite Kislevite core here, though, doing great work. Dervish is flanking on the outside. Kostaltyn, Felix Jaeger in the mix, too. Okay, I don't hate that. Help with the old Grave Guard if they do arrive, which I think we do have some coming in the back. Zargard Grey Opens also chewing through very effectively. On this side, it's not as good for Kislev. The Dazen's Hearthblades being overwhelmed by the monstrous infantry, not supported by a huge, Lord Kostaltyn, as well as the, well, not huge, but, huge in terms of his personality. But the huge beast is what I meant to say, the Incarnate Elemental over there. Watchmen of the Night not doing badly, cutting through a zombie unit, now moving in, and now we do see the Kislevite Archers coming in. It is going to be the dreaded Ice Guard Swords. And the sword variant is the correct choice, in my opinion. How are vampire counts going to usually attack them? Mainly going to be Fellbats as well as the dog units, the Direwolves. I mean, they can be attacked by Vargheists and whatnot, but more often than not, it's going to be Fellbats and or Direwolves. So I think that the sword variant is useful, and it also makes them good for clearing off chaff from objectives, which is good. Halberds, there's an argument to be made for them too. Both vile, but I think the swords are the preferable choice in this matchup if I had to think myself. Now, Incarnate Elemental doing pretty damn good. Sitting at 2100 value. Like I said, it does have a Mortis Engine and is getting its vigor constantly replenished. Very cool to see this thing actually doing well. A lot of times it can be bullied in this matchup, but today it's feasting pretty well. And Kostaltyn's AoE buffs really giving a big punch to the Kislev army that now has kind of won the fight over here on the eastern flank and is going to be heading into engage. But the Archer Fire really going to start saturating in, and I think that if not stopped, this is going to be giving Kislev a massive advantage going forward because Ice Guard do hit pretty hard. Magic damage is also quite relevant, and they look super cool as well. So Vargheists are in the mix. The Mordheim Beowulfs, a great choice against vampires. They have an ability called Dark Tainted Blood, which makes them shut down healing. So if they attack something, it just basically just no healing for you. It's just no soup for you. They just have a bad time. Blob fight is on, and we do see the Strigoi Vampire Lord getting in, trying to Royal Rumble. He definitely should be attacking from the outside and attacking into the Incarnate Elemental on his own, but he kind of gets surrounded here a little bit and is being circle beaten by Kostaltyn, Felix, as well as the Incarnate Elemental. And this could be a moment where Kislev is able to take over the game, and it looks like he's in trouble, guys. Being beaten down by the Incarnate Elemental, which is, he just slapped that thing, dude. Basically one of the coolest looking monsters in the whole game. Yeah, cool rep to Slavic mythology there. All right, getting in there and pushing back the big boy. We do see the Strigoi Vampire Lord afflicted by the Howl of the Great Beast. Invocation going to be activated on him, while Kislev is now pressuring the back objective using Winged Lancers, the Mordheim Beowulfs. I'm curious how they'll fight against the Vargheists. Might not be terrible. And unfortunately for the Vampire Counts, a massive pocket of just Ice Guard shooting in. Both of them just free firing, no pressure. Ninja Cap on the outside. I don't hate that play, actually, from Pope Patty, considering he's starting to fall behind a little bit, and Kislev, I think, is pulling ahead in this game. The Ninja attempt is good, but there is going to be a response from the Polish cavalry, as we do see the Winged Lancers moving in. Lance is couched for Urson, and they will annihilate those Schmiegels. Pretty damn bad in combat. Elsewhere, we do see Kislev on the back, getting their Ice Guard setting up ranks. The Mordheim Beowulfs kind of being dragged down a little bit, but still doing good damage on the way out. Winged Lancers going to rally. Rallied to help these monstrous forest creatures. I don't know about the relationship between those, but, you know, hey, we don't ask questions here. Ice Guard value, 1,800 so far on these ones. These ones are going to be sitting at about 800. And Kostaltyn and the Incarnate Beast in the middle just draining value down. And it has got to be so much right now. Yeah, 3,400 on the Incarnate. Very, very clean. Strigoi Vampire Lord trying to run some interference, and a very good choice. Using him, since he's large, to attack the swords isn't a bad idea. But we do see the Vampires actually being defeated on their back objective. Cryptor is coming on in, and on this side, the Schmiegels. Why is he not charging the Schmiegels? I mean, they're just asking for it here. Maybe he didn't notice them and moved into them, but don't let them capture this objective. That would be a huge blunder by Harrison. Harrison, a very, very good player, as is Pope Patty. And here they come. There you go. There's the cinematic charge you guys want. It didn't look too exciting, but they do manage to pound down those ghouls. Weak binding, losing about 15-20% of their HP instantly on the charge impact, and the Ice Guard actually moving up to capture the point, which is, you know, pros and cons. I think keeping them back and using them to shoot the Cryptors down would be a better choice, because now that they're going to be in melee with the Cryptors, it's not going to be great for them, but understandably, the desperation to get out of the objective situation makes a lot of sense. So moving up here, you know, I get it. So they're going to be shooting, and the Cryptors are going to be attacked by the Beowulfs, which is kind of an interesting tech, because the Beowulfs will shut down their regeneration. The Cryptors will not be healing at all. So that's very, very neat. Backside is salvaged. Does look like the Schmiegels are going to be crumbled. Winged Lancers maybe going to be rotating over to the middle. Vampire Counts being notoriously difficult to get off objectives. And we do see the Heart of Winter once again. First value was about 800 from that Heart of Winter, which isn't terrible. Yeah, 22 wins of magic for the basic version. I think for the overcasted one, it's like 28. It's obscene. I think it could probably receive a buff, because it's such a cool spell, but it also gives your opponent a ton of time for counterplay. Like, despite the 25% speed buff, you can move out of that, you know? And there's the Ice Shard ability from the Ice Witch. It is not a spell. It's an item or an ability that you can bring. Here it is, yeah, Ice Shard. Actually did some good damage. Yeah, it had good AP values, able to punch that Strigoi Vampire Lord in the face. And the Ice Guard are up on the point, fighting with the Beowulfs, trying to drag down these Cryptors. And these Ice Guard will actually be very good against the skeletons. And the Heart of Winter in the middle did clear off quite a bit of chaff. Winged Lancers on their way over, and Harrison saving up for something big. Either that, or he's going to be spamming out some infantry. Probably should have done some of the Wolf Hearts to have them as an option later on. But Felix, Kostaltyn, and company trying to get through the chaff units, but man, Skeleton Spears with Corpse Guard support, very tricky to drag down. Over on the backside, ladies and gentlemen, the Ice Guard are getting into the fight, mixing it up, but Cryptors are laying a bit of a whooping on them. All right, guys, and we're back, and we do see the Dazen's Hearthblades heading for the back objective, which is certainly going to be very strong because of the fact that they do fire damage. So the fire damage, despite them being quote-unquote countered by monstrous infantry, they should be elite infantry that are anti-infantry focused, the fire damage kind of nullifies that and makes them do an additional 20% against the Cryptors, which is very, very good indeed. So Frost Maiden, fisticuffs right there on the middle point. We do see the Ice Guard swords, Felix, as well as Kostaltyn desperately trying to get through this point. Kostaltyn fighting in the water, a very epic shot here. He's like in the shallows, fighting against an undead monstrosity. This is like his power fantasy, just screaming about the orthodoxy and all that great stuff. And yes, boinking down the White King in the process. Points are getting very, very close here, guys. We do see 1,406 points for the undead. But the back point is going to be flipping to the Kislevites, and now they just need to find a way to get the middle point, and maybe they will be able to. Dazen's Hearthblades arriving, that is going to be locking this point down. The Zargard will cut through an indefinite amount of these guys, and they have good enough stats they could probably honestly even fight against the Vargas unit. But is Kislev going to be able to anchor the middle? Capture weight's coming in, guys. It's getting very, very tight here as more halberds are called in to reinforce. Great Scab Scrape coming in from the White King, just deleting about 15% of the HP off that unit right there. And ladies and gentlemen, the capture weight is in flux. It does look like the Dazen's Hearthblade's going to Chadley hold this one. A lot of pressure coming in. The Ice Maiden is going to be dropping what? Oh, using another bolt here. Oh my god, if the Ghoul King goes down now, that would be huge. Winged Lancers coming in. Capture weight is flipping here in the middle. It does look like Kislev is going to be getting their paws on this one, guys. Kostaltyn and the Halberds maybe going to be able to do it. Corpse Cart crumbling, Skeleton Spearmen are in critical binding, but here the Vampires are in the process of flipping this objective back. Kislev Halberds are on their way over. Winged Lancers need a force path through. Man, a Heart of Winter here would actually be really, really good, but it looks like he opts to use the Frostblades. Probably didn't have the magic for the big spell. And that's going to be giving a ton of killing power to the Dazen's Hearthblades. And the Ice Guard Sword certainly earning their keep. And you see what we were talking about earlier, that clearing power in Dom is very, very good here. I mean, sure, they could clear off large stuff with Halberds, but Yeah, Crumbling Vampire Lord also in the books. And it looks like maybe Kislev is going to be able to secure this objective. They do as their halberds arrive, but the sneaky Smeagol back cap, guys. As we get Crypt Ghouls coming in, that's going to be 5 and 10 capture weight, and Kislev might not have the resources. Oh my god, he doesn't even see it. He doesn't see it right now, guys. All right, so here comes the Smeagol's. He's parking there, but he's going to realize it right now. And now the Dervish is going to be charging in, and he's going to have to panic and respond to that flank situation. Over here, with the Vampire Lord having crumbled and disintegrated, we do see the remains of the Strigoi Ghoul King, or Strigoi Ghoul Lord right there. The Dazen's Hearthblades just chatting it with Kislevite Halberd support, Kostaltyn, and the Ice Witch there providing capture weight. But this back cap is super treacherous. Oh man, he's got to be saving up for a Winged Lancer, right? It's got to be. And is that another Smeagol being called out? It is. Kislev has no support there. It's going to have to rely on the cab, which should be called out right now. I mean, he's got 1,000 in the bank. How is he going to be dealing with this? What is it going to be? Okay, here comes the Winged Lancers. When the Winged Lancers arrive, here they come. That is currently 10 capture weight against 4. Smeagol's doing very, very good work, guys. Man, what a gremlin game this is. Absolute gremlin match. Kislev able to secure this outside objective, and here come the Winged Lancers to provide some capture weight. And they will knock down these guys, but I don't know, the ghouls might be able to get it. Okay, big charge going to be diminishing the capture weight, but another 5 is going to be on their way in. And we do see a White King darting to that back objective from Pope Patty. Very, very good play as the Kostaltyn Dervishes and the Winged Lancers going to be intercepting those Smeagol's. And man, oh man, I think the Vampires are going to get this objective. There's a Warrior coming over here. Winged Lancers just desperately trying to clear these bad boys off. Ice Guard are on their way over there as well. And what a game, man. And all it would have taken is like one of those extra halberds that probably didn't need to be sent back there to be sent to this back objective. And I think Kislev would hold it down. But the ghouls are just too numerous. And we do see the White King coming as well. Kislevite Warriors are there. He doesn't have much time to get the decap. He's only got 20 seconds. And yes, the ghouls are getting folded, but with the White King there providing 3 capture weight, I think that is going to be all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. What a freaking game and a half. And Templehof gets it done. So that was a cool-ass game. Elite Infantry, Incarnate Elemental doing work, Kostaltyn Felix combo to grind through the White Kings. I loved it. That was definitely a bit of a late-game fumble there. You know, that's the play that you expect, right? But when you're in such a panic trying to desperately triple cap, I mean, of course that can happen to anyone. But what a great game by Harrison, which I think this is a Vampire Count favored matchup. And Harrison did a great job getting into a winning position. All he needed to do was send 1 halberd there instead of sending 3 to that backside objective, and he wins the game. But, you know, that's part of it sometimes, that awareness. And Pope Patty did an excellent job capitalizing on that, got in there with the Smeagol rush, and really, really had a good time. GG, well played, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Value on Kostaltyn 2000. 3,700 there. Hearthblades, I'm curious what the Hearthblades got. They got summoned twice, I think. Only 1,700, but still not bad against the, with all the fire damage. And yeah, for the rest of the Vampire Army, probably nothing got in obscene value. It was mainly just the objective Gremlin play, although his Ghoul King did get 3,400, which is very good. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. We'll see you on the other side, and well played to these mighty champions.